project. So without further ado, we'll get going. What I like to do, Ben, is I like to go around the horn, have everybody introduce themselves to you. In case you haven't met them or know them yet, and I'm sure that you will. To give you a quick background on Ben Howell and his wife Jamie, as if you were at the convention, you may have recognized them up on the stage, passing on the award for the Rookie of the Year to Don Cassow in Arizona, which is really a big deal because to be able to get up and running and make that kind of amount of sales in a 12-month period is pretty impressive. So congratulations on that. And so what we'll do real quick, I'll start with Jim. That is about 3 months old, I believe. Go ahead and share your information, Jim, where you are, what size your facility is, and then we'll start moving around the horn.
Yeah, we signed the contract in February, so if that's when the clock started ticking. We've actually opened our doors for business after the convention, so we're operational right now, juggling probably 4 or 5 clients to start off with, and we have a 2,900 square foot facility. My wife Ashley and I are. We're still looking for our first hire. We thought we had that arranged, but kind of back at square one. So struggling with some of the startup stuff, but we're engaged and excited and working through it.
Good, very good. Well, welcome aboard today, Mike. You're up. Come off of mute.
Mike from Science by Dining Design. I've been open for just over 4 years through Sign World, of course.
Okay.
I have about 3,400 square foot.
Okay. How many employees?
Right now, just me.
Okay.
I had some falling out in the last year or so, it's interesting.
The most important one. Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
All right. Good to see you. I'm glad you're on the call today. Lana, did you come off of mute?
Lana from Diablo Signery, California, North California, Silicon Valley, San Francisco. Signed the contract a year ago with Signvolt. Opened my door last October. Have a different type of equipment, working just myself so far.
Okay.
Trying to hire.
Okay, very good. Joel.
Yep. Hi, Joel Glover, Sky Custom Signs, based out of Minneapolis, the western suburbs, and been in business for just about 2 months here. I will be opening my doors officially in about 15 days. So brand new broker model. So I'm the only employee as of right now, but just super excited to be doing this.
Okay, very good. Welcome aboard, Eric.
Thank you.
Yeah, Eric Squire, Arizona Custom Sign Works here in Phoenix. Signed my contract in September, cut our lease in October, opened our doors officially in January of this year. Sitting on like 2,500 feet. It's myself and my brother in here working full time.
Okay, very good. Chris, it's a Chris and Chris. It's just Chris today.
Yep, the other Chris is out for the morning. So
Okay.
yeah, Chris Rowland, Sign Me Up Studio, Palm Springs. I have one employee. His name is also Chris. We signed in basically end of November and just getting going. 2 months.
Okay, very good. Matthias.
Matthias Vygotsky, Boston Science and Graphics, outside of Boston, and I've been at it since February of last year.
All right, very good. And Ashley, you're going to come on and say hi, or you're just going to listen?
I'll say hi real quick. I am juggling a couple of things, but yeah, Jim covered it. We signed at the end of February and soft opening at this moment and trying to get rolling.
All right. And you remember Ashley at the convention, she's the one that laid down the gauntlet to take over Rookie of the Year. So we're going to have to we're going to hold her to it, right?
That's
make
right.
That happen.
Heck yeah.
I love it.
Good. That's great. And Christy, I see you here. Do you want to say hi real quick too?
Sure. I'm Christy with Vantage Point Signs in
Northeast Texas. We opened our doors about 2 months ago, and I think that sums it up.
Okay, very good. All right. So today we have Ben Howell. He's in North Carolina. He had a long commute to go to the convention this year. He and his wife Jamie started the business back in 2022, I believe. Is that correct?
Yes. Yep. Late
Okay.
2022. Yep.
Good. Very good. And name of the company is Saltwater Signworks. If you got, just give us a quick overview of your company, how many employees, the size, that sort of thing, and then we get into your what your project was and how you got through it.
Yeah. So Ben Howell, Saltwater Signworks, we are 2.5 years old, still toddlers learning how to walk. We have 6 employees. That includes me and Jamie, so 4 other than us 2. We are in a 4,100 square foot facility. It's bigger than what we need, but we'll be able to grow into it well. And so, that's where we're at. We're just hustling.
Okay. Very good. Mary Lauren, good to see you. Can you jump on real quick and say hi and a little background on who you are and where you are and what's going on?
Hi, everybody. Mary Lauren Randall, City Beautiful Signs and Graphics. My husband and I own this. We've been around for 3 years. We were actually in training with Ben back in the day. We're in Orlando.
How many square feet did you say?
2,500 square feet or 2,500 square feet.
Okay, good. Richard and Donna out in Indianapolis area. Can you jump on and say hi?
Oh, maybe. Hi, Richard and Donna, Indianapolis. We have been open since mid-February. We've got 3,000 square feet, and I don't know what else you want to know. We just jumped on.
How many employees do you have? Is it just you 2 right now?
Just the 2 of us right now.
Okay.
Well, we've
Very
got
good.
our son helping out too.
All right. Yeah. Don't throw him aside yet. He's helping. So keep, he's worth every bit of that. Craig Weissong, how about you? Can you say hi real quick too? Craig, you there? There he is.
Hold on. Hello, Craig Weissong from Warner Robins, Georgia. We've been in business a little over 2.5 years. Have 2 employees besides myself, and I'm in 2,500 square foot of facility.
Very good. And then Allie likes to jump on too and listen to see what's going on. And I think that's helped her a lot. Allie, I'm going to have you say hi if you could, and then we'll get right into Ben's project.
Hi, I'm Allie. I work with Orion Signs and Graphics. I do sales and some design. We've been open for about 1.5 years-ish.
Very good. And I also want to mention too that if anyone has any questions during Ben's proposal, his layout, whatever he's talking about, don't hesitate to jump in and ask those questions, because I think we'll have questions at the end. And hopefully, if we get through it enough time, maybe you've got a project you want to bring up, we can also help with that too. So this time, Ben, take it away.
All right. I'll try to move fairly quickly through mine because it's more about just a philosophy of pricing rather than the individual project. And then that way we can open up the floor and help you guys on your specifics. I always found that more helpful when I'm on these calls. I'm going to quickly share my screen if that's cool. I do not have a presentation. Oh, great.
That's okay.
So I got to turn it on. Allow it. This is going to kick me out, and then I got to reopen. So I'll jump back on. Okay.
Okay.
So, how's it going? Dead air. I don't like dead air. Can't stand it.
Been a while since we've seen everyone, right?
Yeah. I always love this video, this meeting.
This session. This is a really good session. And as I had mentioned earlier too, it's being recorded. So if you want to go back and review anything, you certainly can do that. All right. Ben, you're back.
I'm back. I'm going to share my screen now. Share that one.
There we go.
All right, you guys can see it. Okay, so this is how it all started. We did this project. We were like 5 weeks open. This was our very first customer. We actually took over his spot. We actually took over a lease for him because we couldn't find a location. So it was for Optimum Fire and Security. He wanted a quote unquote kick-ass lobby sign. And he wanted the United States on there. They service all 50 states. And so he wanted something that he could, basically showcase that in his lobby. They've got little kind of translucent stickers now all over that thing showing every location they've ever gone to. It's pretty nifty. But we basically kind of had to start with, well, how do we make this? Who can make it? We fell on, we were actually talking with Signcraft Solutions out of Raleigh, Wake Forest. At the time, it was Bob and Stephanie. They were like, "Yeah, I think we can make that for you." And so we basically the philosophy on this one was just get the job. So we did cost plus pricing on this one, which is typically what most of our kind of pricing strategy is from Sign World, from all the training type stuff. Is take your costs, you mark it up, and then you move on. We did not make a great margin on this one because he had a budget and we wanted it to be an awesome showcase and land on our website and all the things. And we were going to be learning from it. So you'll kind of hear that throughout this kind of story of, well, we were learning from it, and no education is free. And so basically we kind of, we learn as we go and then mark up as we can. So this one is actually two reverse carved edge lit acrylic. So everything you see that glows, so the outline of the letters, the logo. Let me see if I can zoom it in for you a little bit.
Yeah, that's looking good. We can actually see somebody taking the picture too.
Yeah. So
shadow in the background.
Yeah, I think that might be me. So everything that lights up is actually carved out. So the way that the light works in the acrylic is it runs through that kind of glass-like panel, but it'll only shine out when it hits something to reflect off of. Otherwise, it just kind of stays trapped inside the panel. So we love this look. The client obviously loved this look. This was like a $5,000 lobby sign for him, but a lot was in the aluminum channels right here. You see the black aluminum channels there. That's what the acrylic sits in. That's where the lighting is. That's where the wiring is. And then, obviously, we had to figure out a way of mounting those on the wall without seeing a bunch of hardware and hanging things off. So that was a $5,000 one, but it probably cost me, I don't know, like $3,800 all in. So we didn't make a ton of money. It wasn't bad, but I mean, we made some money. But we basically kind of learned from this one, hey, this looks great, but we really wanted to do something really, really different. So we got into another client. Here's another photo of it from the side, so you can kind of see what the side of the acrylic does. It kind of traps the light in. There's an up close, so you can see kind of the routings on the states. See all the borders there. The next version of this is this one. And the big difference here is that there is no hardware to house the lighting. This one, basically, it reduces the cost way down because we were able to do it somewhat in-house. We found somebody local that can, carve the acrylic for us. So we did it on our own. We came up with how to basically embed the LEDs in the edge of the acrylic sign there. You can see how everything kind of glows, how everything kind of reflects off of itself. The iPhone doesn't do it really justice. It darkens some areas that aren't as dark to the human eye, but it is on the photo. But you can see kind of how everything still glows. This one right here, we sold for like $2,200. But the reason why we sold it for $2,200, we actually told the client, look, it's going to be about 2,000, maybe 2,500 to do it. But he wanted 5 of them. So he has 5 of these in each of his locations. We lost money on the first one because we had to develop how it was going to happen. And so we kind of told him our vision. He loved it. And he was like, that's fine. Take your time, figure it out. Let's do it. I want 5 of them. So we kind of figured it out. The pricing was a little low, obviously, for this first one, but we were making money by the 5th one and making good money by the 5th one.
Ben, real quick, I want to jump in. How did this customer come to you, or vice versa? How'd you guys match up?
So we actually found him. He was looking for a lobby sign, and he just pinged us on our website, and we went directly to him the same day and talked to him about it. and he wanted some kind of a showcase piece. The lighting in his facility and so that's his front office there. And in the parking lot, he wanted something. He was having to leave all the lights on in the lobby when people weren't there, on weekends or holidays or at night when it's not staffed, for security reasons. And so he said, "Hey, I'd much rather have something that just shows my logo and I can turn off all the office lights because they're either all on or all off." And so that's where we came up with this one. So this one right here again was a cost plus. We figured it was gonna, it was going to cost us, $500-600 to make it. I think the first one ended up costing us like $2,300. We went through it like crazy. We went through, I think, 3 pieces of acrylic, cracking it, breaking it, figuring out how to get the holes in it, figuring out how to get the edges in it. We went through different edge banding materials. I had to buy a bunch of different kinds of stuff and figure it out. But through it all, we just documented how we did it, and then just kept growing through there. So the evolution from there is, okay, we went cost plus, and then now we've got a new version to where we kind of squared it off and made it a little bit easier. We still don't have any hardware, but I don't know if you can see on the photo, but we actually put in, we hogged out all the stuff on the front. And so the black mission fit is actually cut acrylic as well. So those are glued in. So it actually is now 3-dimensional. We sold this one for $5,500 and we were into it for about $1,200. All in labor and everything. We also have it's on a clear background as opposed to having the full, color background. Just the M is the only vinyl on there. Strength and performance actually is also clear, but those letters are so small they actually just look black to the eye once the sign is on. But again, it's just mounted with standoffs. Those are cheap. The acrylic is not super expensive. You always get cast acrylic. You get somebody to route it out for you. It costs us about $70 to get one of these things routed out, all in. And then it's just a matter of us putting the vinyl on there on the back, and then putting our lights on it. And we've got it to where we now know, we put banner tape inside the edge, where we carved it out, and then we just lay the lights in there and the lights just stick, and then we cover the outside of that with a black vinyl and trim that off so that no light leaks out the sides, and it gives it this nice little frame. So as we're going, we were able to figure out that some customers, the pricing philosophy, you've either got cost plus or market based, right? So we've decided to really market these as a really high end type sign for your lobby. We obviously price it as all market based now, which basically what that means is not everybody pays the same price. This is a startup physical therapy place. I think we charged them $2,800 for this sign. So it wasn't the $4,500 that the gym with the multiple locations is willing to pay. It's not, it's not $1,200. It's a reasonable price somewhere in there. And so basically what we've done is we've been we're getting better and better. Here's the one in our lobby. We're getting better and better at figuring out who can kind of pay what. I've built a quick product in Corebridge to kind of house this thing. And then it's got all the different pieces and parts, and we can just adjust that pricing as necessary, kind of as we see fit. We really try to get the budget up front from everyone. Here's an early on one that we did. It's got a lot of detail to it. We didn't charge enough for this one either, right? So some of them we made really good money, and we're making good money on them all now. But as we were learning and as we were evolving and as we were growing with these types of signs, we made money on all of them. We didn't lose any money, but some of them we could have just made more. So we're making up for lost ground now.
Is this this particular product that you're doing, that's probably your staple now that you're providing customers because they can go to your site, see what you've done, maybe referrals. Do you do any wholesale work for other companies as well, since you're getting so good at these?
We're totally willing to do it as wholesale. I would give, obviously Sign World, very good pricing on that. Basically I'd give it to you at the price I'd sell it minus 45%. You just take the 45% for making the sale, and I'll ship it to you. You know, it's not hard to install. They're super simple. It's 2 wires. Most of them are single color. Some of them have been RGB, LEDs. Those are a little bit more difficult. Those don't show up quite the same. And you got to watch out. So I'm testing out several brands of RGBW lighting, so that you have the separate whites. So some people want white, but then they also want to be able to change color or do something, or whatever. And RGB are terrible at white replication, so you got to have that separate white LED on that strand to be able to get that light through there. We've also done different color lighting. So even though it's white, it's a different temperature white. So you guys know that, you got like 3000 Kelvin is like your warm, 2700 is really warm, almost yellow light. And then as you get up to 4000, 5000, 6500, you're in the whites. And then beyond 6500, it gets very blue. You've seen xenon headlights on cars. Those are like a 7500 Kelvin. Those things are all blue. It just looks ridiculous. So that's kind of the evolution that we've got. We'll do rounded edges on them. You can see, we try to hide the wires as best we can. Look at the bottom right-hand corner there. Around that standoff, you can see the wire on this one. It was going to hang out if we didn't kind of wrap it right there. But it's not what people notice at first. This NutriPrime one, it was a good, easy one to do. The guy, he said, "Hey, do I need to put in an outlet?" We were like, "Absolutely not. Do not put an outlet there. We'll just go down the wall." And then we walk in and there's an outlet right behind. You got a background, buddy. You're killing me. But this is a very small one. So this one was $1,200, but it is literally, it's like a foot by like 3.5 feet. Not quite 4 feet. And so this one was a very easy one to make. It took us no time at all. And I think we had like $200 in it by the time, we used a scrap piece of acrylic we already had. We just got some black standoffs. I used the same lighting. We just nest all these things in other prints as we go, when we're doing other, clear or translucent prints.
Good. And, Ben, we talk about lobby signs. I like to call them impact signs, because when you go into the particular office or wherever, whatever your customer is, it's an impact. It really is, provides more than just a lobby sign, I believe. And the issue sometimes with those is that you spend so much time developing the art and creating this one-off type of sign that in some cases the customers don't want to pay the price of this beautiful piece of art, but you need to be able to have that markup to achieve that. You've come up with a product that goes above and beyond that because of what it's got that wow factor, and it's not an easy thing. Well, I can't say it's not an easy thing, but a lot of people will be able to manufacture this if they know what they're doing. Is you've done that going through that learning curve. But I like the way you've captured that part of an impact sign in lobbies, and having the customer be able to understand that it's worth. They don't even know what the cost is, but they're willing to pay that because of the outcome that they're going to receive in their particular business. So that's a great product line. Do you do other lobby signs too, other than these internally lit ones?
Oh yeah, no, we'll do reverse print acrylics. We'll do dimensional letters. We do all kinds of different stuff. These are somewhat more flexible. We can showcase people's brands in a different way. We actually, this Waterford one, when I was talking to them about it and selling them on the sign, I sold them on a clear background and then making the tooth have the frosted on the back. So it looks more like a tooth, right? That's their logo. And so we showed it to them, and then they're like, "Hey, can you show us something else? We're not sure about the tooth." And so we reversed it to where the tooth, actually the background is clear and then the rest of the sign is frosted, and they love that idea. And so that's what we ended up going with, which is pretty funny and pretty fantastic in my opinion, that we just kind of reversed it. But we've done these are steel art letters here. So these are fantastic. These are just their edge lit or reverse lit individual letters. It's brushed aluminum. This one right here, we charge them like $9,000 for this one. Of course, Steel Art's very proud of their stuff, as they should be. But these are 12-inch letters that are all individually wired and all the things. So a lot of the cost into this one wasn't just having to pay Steel Art for their good stuff. It was us spending a whole day drilling holes in the wall, running all the wires, and then having to put a little wire raceway on the back of that wall to be able to house everything and take it to the power supply.
Yeah, very good. Now, a question that these owners online might have is, how do you decide? I'm sure you can provide all kinds of different options for a customer, but how do you steer them into a particular type of sign, non-lit compared to lit? How does that process happen in your company to be able to do what the customer wants, but also for you to make the profit margin you're looking at?
Well, we really drive the conversation based off of existing conditions and their budget. And so what we do is we find that when they're not willing to give us a number for the budget, we start throwing out different types of signs and then the ballparks that those are going to land them in. Usually that gets us kind of bound, right? So Waccamaw Dermatology, that is that's just a reverse acrylic. It's got etched vinyl or frosted vinyl on the back. So very simple to do. That's a 10-foot long piece of acrylic. They were like, we don't need lighting. We go do the site survey, and they were right. Look at that track of light.
Right.
They don't need anything illuminated. That thing, they could land an airplane with that lobby. So we were like, yep, you don't need that. So what are you looking for? Well, we want something really, really long to fill up this long wall. And I'm like, well, your name will do it, So individual dimensional letters, that was out. You're paying per inch per letter, and you can see in their name they got the whole alphabet plus a few. So when you're looking at that kind of individual lettering like that, you go, well, if I'm throwing out, hey, this thing's going to run you $1,200 non-illuminated, and illuminated version of this is going to be $4,500. Dimensional letters will be somewhere in between that, and then they're going, you know what? Yeah, show me an example of that thing you were talking about that's like $1,200, and then you just pull that up on your phone. You show them some stuff you've done, and then that's a much easier putt. Being able to show them the pictures and then kind of give them that ballpark.
Mary Lauren asked a question about what is reverse print.
So what you've got on these acrylic signs here, the graphics are on the back. So for like you have to do them in reverse on either a clear vinyl printed, and then put that on the back of the acrylic, or if you can find a wholesaler, like Science 365 will do acrylic prints up to a certain size, and they print it on the back of the acrylic. I don't know if everybody got they all got the.
I was actually just asking if this one was reverse printed.
It is, yes. So it is, and we love the look of that. It's very high end because you've got, it's a glass glossy finish on the front,
right?
So it looks really, really nice. You can see your reflection in it.
Yeah. Right now, and when you say there's a couple ways to do that, you can cut vinyl obviously and apply that to the backside, and then there's concerns about bubbles and other things that can happen when you're laying that down. Direct print is another great way to do it, where it's a nice solid finish and you don't have to worry about that part of it. Did you go with the direct print? Do you know?
Not on this one. So, a lot of direct print places don't go this large. So this is I think 20 inches tall by, or 22 by 10 feet. So it's not small by any stretch. And then the shipping on it is insane as well. What we've found in doing all of our lobby signs, whether it's these or the illuminated ones, clear vinyl is a nightmare for bubbles. You can use soapy water to kind of help remediate that, but the adhesive on there will react with the water and get milky. And unless you've got 2 weeks for that to kind of dry out, which we don't, we want to move quickly. What we printed on is actually a optically clear cast laminate. So we printed on Avery's 1360 Zulu. We ran that through the printer. We basically adjusted a profile to where we don't melt the stuff or stretch it out too bad. And so we run it through our HP 700. We print on that backwards. We then laminate it with a translucent vinyl so that it's covering it up. We put the registration marks on there, and then we run it through the plotter and we cut it like it's a laminated vinyl, because that's the 2 layers. It's just the ink's in the wrong place. And so then we can apply it with water, and the way that Avery, it's optically clear. So every color we put on there is perfect. And then what you've got is that adhesive doesn't react with the water. So when you can get all the bubbles out, no problem. And then you
Right.
don't have any kind of milky residue looking after it. Everything looks great.
Right. And that's an excellent way to do that. And that's a great way to use different materials and different ways to do things that a lot of other people can't even figure out how to do that. They're stuck in that one rut. If we just print on the first surface and then move forward. Now, Mike had a question about the power. There's no power supply for this because it's not internally illuminated in any way. That one's just exterior lights. Is that correct?
Yes, so you can see that's just all the exterior lights in that reflection. They just had that long track lighting. It's very 80s looking, but it gets the job done.
I met some of the other ones that you had shown.
Yeah, so for these, the wires run right down the back side. Let me see if I can pull up one that's maybe a little bit closer so maybe you can see it. So we run the wire to a place where it's going to be as non, obvious as possible. And so we carve out a little section of the back lip on the bottom, near wherever the wires are going to come out. It's usually going to be around a corner. And then we just run the wire to into the wall and then down the wall and then come out the same side. And then or come out the other side of the wall, depending on where the outlet is, and then hook it up to the power supply that way. In North Carolina, we don't have to have an electrician's license to run a 12-volt low voltage wire through a wall. So that's what we do. The power supply stays outside the wall so that just plugs into the outlet. We just have a low voltage wire going through the wall.
Okay. Very good. Very good.
So, and that's the same for these as well. This is actually just, this one here is that's just a brushed aluminum max metal panel. So just ACM with hidden standoffs. And then this is a printed graphic with just the trilogy and the spine and all of that just cut out. So we just weeded all of that out, put it on top so you can see the brush metal behind it. And then we just we halo lit it with just white lights.
On the backside. Yeah.
On the backside. Yep.
Is there a return on that? So if you do walk by the sign, you're not blinded by the light looking over at it?
There isn't, but we do use what's called COB lighting. So that is chip on board. So that's the LED strips that are a continuous light. You don't see individual little hot spots.
Okay.
So that helps with when you're walking by, it doesn't look so bad. But we just basically install it like a swirl on the back there and do it. We did the same thing with this Mission Fit one here. That's all there's just the brushed aluminum visible there. And we actually did the blue M that has a gradient to it. And so we printed that on a clear and then just installed that, on here so that you can still see the aluminum brushes behind it. You still see that it's on aluminum. It gives it a slightly different look.
Good. Very good. And so getting back to getting the customers to be interested in reaching out, is it all coming through your website? Is there some other ways that you're getting involved with these customers? Because it sounds like you're really diverse it's not one particular, it's not like just all the dentists in town or churches or anything like that.
Yeah, honestly, a lot of it is through referrals and networking. Our website does bring us some business, but it typically doesn't bring these types of jobs. Maybe we did something, I know Plurus found us on our website. They were looking just for some vehicle graphics for their doors. And then we did well with them and we worked with them and we found out, oh, they're changing offices. Oh, well, do you need a sign for that building? Oh, yeah, we've already worked on that building with this builder and with that, developer. And so you just, once you've kind of got those networking connections and you're working with those folks, when they find out you've already done a sign on that bill. Oh, you did that person's sign. Oh, okay. Oh, you've already worked with our landlord with this other building over here.
Right.
It's just a lot of comfort that they know that you've done stuff. Nobody wants to give you money and question if they're going to get anything in return. So once they kind of know that you've done some stuff, it's a lot easier for them to pay you. And so we're finding that it's mainly through, you know, relationships, and it's through a previous job. We're not starting with these lobby signs and just, you know, making, you know, $4,800 on a lobby sign because they, you know, filled out a form on our website. Usually the website is bringing us in lower quality jobs, and then we're having to work that relationship.
Got it. Very good. Very good. Well, let's open up to other questions that the panel might have. If we could come off of mute and jump right on if anybody has any questions about the approach that Ben has taken and what he's accomplished.
Where do you get your COB lighting?
Funny enough, I found that a lot of the Hanley LED lighting and other things, almost 100% of LEDs come out of either China or Korea. And so basically knowing that they're all made the same, and then they all come with a 1-year warranty. So why pay Grimco pricing for a strip of LEDs when I can buy it for 34 bucks on Amazon? And so you know, we just kind of run them through the paces. I actually had used a light manufacturer when we had to rebuild our house from a hurricane back in 2019 to run new under cabinet lighting in our kitchen, and it was still going 3 years later. When we started our business, I'm like, well, that stuff's not bad. Like I feel like we can make something out of that. So that's kind of how we started.
Okay.
I was
Mike
going to
Moore?
ask that
Okay, go ahead.
that first project that you showed us, that wasn't something, that was a different kind of acrylic that already had the LEDs embedded in it. Is that what you said? That very first one.
So that first one had it had tracks in there, so it had a structure to it. I'll pull it back. You can kind of see the difference.
There was a view too that Ben shared that if you were, I think it was a side view, that if you were to look down inside of that groove, you'll see the little LED lights that were shining up through the acrylic. And I think that you might be able to see it right there too. There's like these little blue dots that you can see. So they're up inside that track, and they actually the acrylic, I think, just sits right on the LED lights themselves. And so what he's done, and the other thing to point out too is if the edge is sanded, it'll glow. If it's not, the light just passes right through it. So what he was talking about, anywhere that you carve on this acrylic will now show the lighting that you're actually yeah, that's a good shot right there. See him down at the bottom running through that track. And that was a question I was going to have for you too, Ben. On this one, did you have lighting shining down from the top and up from the bottom?
We did on the map piece. We did do that.
Right.
So
Right.
everywhere you see the tracks, there's LEDs inside of that.
Right.
We decided that while that was a pretty look, we'd rather light it 360 degrees around and try to find a way to do that.
Yeah.
To make that happen, and then also not have the hot spots, which is why we have that COB lighting on there. So that it's just a continuous strip of lighting. And then the other issue that we run into or have run into, which has been costly to learn, is that when you have anything that is sanded on the edge reflects the light, or anything that's carved reflects the light, anything that scratches, and acrylic scratches notoriously easy. So
Right.
funny enough, what we'll do is we will continuously mask these things as we're building them. So if we have to take a mask off to check something, we remask it before we do anything else. So it always has the protective paper. We almost never take the protective paper off the front until we're checking for final quality check before we send it out. And then we remask it so that when we go to install it, we're not putting our fingerprints all over it or scratching it. And then we only take that mask off once it's up on the wall.
That's good. Yeah, that's smart. Okay. Christy asked the questions. How did you develop an estimate for your very first, for that job? For that first job?
That first one, the very first job we did, we basically just said, hey, how are we going to make this thing? We worked with Signcraft on how to get it done. And then they gave us an estimate and we just marked it up. and then threw our install costs on there. As far just like any other, job that you farm out, right? And then when we decided to make one in-house and develop our own way, we kind of said, all right, cost plus model. Let me figure out what materials I'm going to need, who's going to cut it, what's that going to cost me, how much time do I think I'm throwing at fabricating it, the install time. It was on standoff, so we felt pretty confident on the install time. And so it was just a matter of figuring out what materials were in there and then the markups on those materials. So it was just cost plus again.
So how long did it like take you, I guess, to figure out, okay, these are the kind of, since it was your very like a prototype, these are the products we want to use, and how long did it take you to actually combine all that information to provide the quote?
Well, we basically ran on the first quote of we just kind of decided on some materials and ran with it.
Okay.
That's why we lost money on that first Carolina storage one. But we've done 5 of them for him, and so we've made it up on the back end. But yeah, we basically just said, hey, I think we're going to need this, we're going to need that, we're going to need, this is what it's going to cut, this is how much our vinyl runs us, all the things, and we built it in the system, and then. Come to find out, we didn't like the first 3 edge banding materials. We didn't even it was just money thrown down the tube. Because you cut it, you install it, and then you're like, oh, that doesn't even hide the lights, or oh, it does this, or oh, it wants to peel off of there. You just find the problems as you go. And so yeah, that first one, I think this Judge's Road one, it took us probably 6 weeks of putting it together, taking it apart, putting it together, taking it apart, putting it together, taking it apart to figure out the best materials. And in the meantime, we scratched one of them, so then we had to have a new one cut. So it was all those learnings early on, and it was painful. But we knew that if we did 5 of them and we made a 50% margin on 5 of them because we lost money on the first one, but we're making great money on the last one, then we're going to be okay. And I think we ended up at like a 40% margin on them. But in-house, you don't want that. So that's when we were like, okay, well, now that we know what materials we're going to make it out of, here's how we're going to price it. And then we started pricing it as we went. And then we started saying, hey, where can we squeeze extra money and not leave money on the table? So now, sometimes we're, cost plus, we're making $2,000 beyond that. Sometimes we make $300 beyond that.
Okay.
The
And so
learning
for
curve.
like with this one, you were just upfront with the client. You're like, hey, we have this great idea. We want to try it. Are you willing to let us experiment, basically? And he
Yeah.
was like, yeah, cool.
Yep. So he was very cool. He owns this place with his dad. They've got, 5 locations here in Wilmington. They've got 3 other ones they're building. We're trying to get all their monuments and all the other stuff too right now. But yeah, he was good with us figuring it out. And he liked our vision. So we showed him the optimum fire and security one. He goes, "Oh, I love that. Can it have my colors though?" And we were like, absolutely. And so we kind of mocked up what we were thinking and we said, hey, we want to do it without the structure. Are you okay with us developing the way? We don't know how we're going to make it, but we know we can. And so he goes, yeah, if you're going to hit my number, then perfect. And so we hit his number for 5 of them. And so, the first one, obviously it cost us a lot, but we learned a lot. So no
Okay.
education is free.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Very good. Jay has a question too. Jay, do you want to come off of mute and ask your question about the printing, reverse printing?
Yes, could you explain one more time, how did you print the reverse printing? Like you mentioned Avery laminated, right?
Yes, so it's a Avery 1360 Zulu or Z 1360Z is their optically clear cast laminate, and so we just basically put the clear profile on for our HP 700 and started printing it. We realized it kind of stretched as it was pulling. The 700 likes to use the take up reel, so as it was pulling through the heating zone, it was kind of stretching it a little bit. So we just dialed down the heat until the ink stopped drying, and then we upped it a little bit. So we now know that it does stretch a little bit. And so what we'll do is we'll do a quick little test print on a section, see how much it's really stretching it for the day, because sometimes it depends on the weather. If it's nice and cool in our shop, then it doesn't stretch as bad if it's the first thing through the printer. And so, it's just kind of playing with it a little bit. We use a little bit more material when we do that. But we print it with a bleed because we're going to cut it all out. We cut out manually, like let's say for this one, that signature welt strategies, you know, we print those letters, but we print them with a bleed. And so what we'll do is we'll lay them down, and we put a knife in that edge that's already been carved out by the router on the back side there, and then we just peel off the excess. So the letters are always perfect.
Okay, I see. I
We don't
understood
have
now.
we don't have to print them to the exact same size. We print them with a little bit of bleed so that we've
Yeah,
got some play there to be able to make sure that the sign is perfect.
I see. Okay, I'll run some tests. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Mary Lorraine, you have another question too?
Yeah, do you have a CNC in your office?
No, actually, we've got a great supplier down in Myrtle Beach, about an hour and a half from here. He makes all of our channel letters, all of our cabinet signs, almost every exterior or illuminated sign he does for us. Um, he wants to move. He's been in business for 30 years. He's trying to move more towards a wholesale model. And so we throw him a lot of business. I pay my deposits as soon as I get the estimate and I'm ready to move on it. And then I pay him before he goes to install it. And so he even installs all the channel letters that he makes because he's going to bring it up here anyway. Either I'm going to pay him to deliver it or I'm going to pay him to install it and deliver it. So might as well have him install it too. But I pay him, and so he moves our stuff to the top. It's amazing. I asked him for some large letters a couple weeks ago, and we got them the next day. So he started working on them. He gave them to FedEx overnight, flew them or drove them overnight. FedEx did, and they were in our office at 10 a.m. the next day. So, but I mean, that's what you get when you throw $200,000 worth of business at somebody and you pay your bills on time.
Sure.
So yeah, so he's great. And so he charges us literally $60 to do this. I'll ship material to him. He's got a shelf on his shop that's just my acrylic or my Max Metal, and we'll just have Grimco just drop it off to him.
Very good.
Also, I was gonna ask, when you send a proof, or do you send a proof before or no? Or you just stay for that type of sign at your size?
We don't typically do artwork up front if we've worked with that client a lot, and we know that they're good at paying their bills and we like working with them. Then yeah, we'll do it sometimes. We actually did it for one. Let me stop sharing this one. Let me see if I can pull up a different. Let's see, where is she? Chill Pretty. We did it for this one, and it actually helped us to sell it. And this is another one I got to figure out how we're going to do it. So I think I was showing, George this one over the break or at convention. Let me share my screen again. Here we are. Share. So we did do the artwork up front for this lady, but we've done work for her before. And she's very good about paying her bills. She's a great client. And so she actually saved her money. She saw our lobby sign and she goes, I want one like that. She goes, what's that going to run me? And so we told her, rough ballpark. She was like, okay, well, she opened like 6 months ago. So she's been saving her money for 6 months waiting for this. And she contacted us just before convention and goes, I'm ready to go, but can you work something up for me? I was like, sure. So knowing that she was going to come to us for the sign, I was like, well, I'll just do the design work up front. We have done design work up front for other people, but we charge them for it. If they're like, well, I'm not making a decision without design. Well, then you can pay me for the design up front and it's your design. And then when we move into the project, when you're like, okay, yeah, let's go, that design charges just won't be in that invoice. And we'll use that design and just put that proof in for the approval. And that's how we track that one. Another one that we kind of snuck in was we were doing a monument for a lady who owns her own, she's got a law firm. And then she wanted building signs as well, like channel letter building signs, but she wanted to see those. And so we said, hey, look, go ahead and pay the deposit on the monument. We'll design the monument and the channel letters, and then you can pay us separately for the channel letters once you're happy with that design. And so she was good with doing that. So it helped us land the monument early because she thought she was getting something for free when really she's not.
Hey, Ben, quick question on design. How many hours of design, or let me rephrase that. How do you know how much to charge for design as a separate line item? If you're using the sign pack, which I assume you are.
That is a great question. And when I figure it out, I'll let you know.
Cool. I'm in the same boat right now.
Yeah. So it's always a little bit squirrely. You kind of have to just kind of learn as you go. So for vehicle graphics, we charge for 2 hours worth of design every time. And we do have the sign pack, um, just the enterprise version. So we just pay the flat monthly, and so we just throw projects at them all the time. Um, we're looking at bringing in an in-house designer because we actually lose time in the communication back and forth with
Right.
sign pack. So it's a great thing to start up with. I don't know that it's a great long-term thing. Um, but they do a really good job. Uh, so to answer your question, you just kind of learn as you go. When you figure out a certain type of project, you go, oh, well, this is, this is back and forth. This is a total pain. We're not doing that. Um, you just add time to it. So for vehicle graphics, I know that, hey, we charge our normal design fee for the design, and then I charge actually another design fee. I just charge them two because there's always paneling on the back end and figuring out how you're going to print it and then install it, right? You got to figure all that stuff out. It's not just slapping the graphic on the template. Yeah, that looks great on the vehicle. Let's go. Well, now you got to figure out how to get it on the vehicle. Where do you want your seams to go? All the things. And so that's extra time that my in-house folks are going to be doing to create those panels. So I want to charge for that time as well. And so that we just started that like a year ago. So we went, our first 18 months just thinking we were doing great and we're leaving money on the table. For these lobby signs, very similar. It's the same thing. I charge two designs for this, even though we usually knock it out in one, just because it's a higher end sign and I can do it. I can just put an extra, $150 worth of design on there. And the people that kind of know signage and they're like, hey, why is this up higher? I'm like, well, we have to have different types of files. So we have a router file, we've got the acrylic, but then we've got print files and we've got to cut out that and all the things. And so, when you're talking different pieces of equipment, there's just a lot more design time because those pieces of equipment don't always speak the same language.
Right.
And that usually satisfies everyone when you're doing that way. But that's my plan going forward. When we get a CNC machine, if I've got to do print stuff and I'm cutting out a substrate, then it's going to get extra time. My guys are going to be spending extra time making those files, so I need to be compensated for that time when they're doing it.
And that's smart to do that because you do end up giving away too much to the customer and not being able to collect on that. So to provide that kind of knowledge to them of what actually takes for you to build the type of sign really does help out for you to be able to charge appropriately for it. Now, another thing you could do too is as time goes on is as you go through some of these projects, you have a really good idea of how much time it's going to take or put a value to it. So a $500 job might be a 10 or 15-minute design time, and you'll include that in there. But if somebody's spending 30 minutes or an hour and a half on a $500 sign project, you're starting to eat into your profits. So you start to understand what it's going to actually take to actually do a project and be able to charge accordingly. So that's a really good question there. There's one more too. Your HP, is that a HP 700 or an HP 700W?
It's the 700. I asked Terry when we were out there in training. Mary Lauren may remember I pressed him 3 or 4 times on the W on it, and Terry doesn't like selling anything for anybody else. He's not trying to sell HP anything. He doesn't get a commission, and so he was just like, look, bottom line is, the sign industry has survived many, many years without white ink, and they've got all these fancy ways of recirculating it and all the things. He goes, I'd give it 6 or 7 years for white ink before you really invest in it and find the need for it. So I was like, okay, well then I'm not going to spend the extra money. If Terry wouldn't spend the extra money, I'm not going to do it. And so yeah, we've just got the 700, and then we found that for color replication, especially on like the reverse print stuff, a good translucent white as a laminate works fine. A good white as a laminate works fine. You just can't get the airy grest with the gray backer to it. That will change the color. So you just got to make sure that you just got either white or translucent behind it, and it does just fine.
Very good. Okay. Any other questions? We got a few minutes left before unless there's anything else that Ben wants to share on some of his other projects. Those are great projects, by the way. I like there's a lot of creativity to them. They're not all just exactly the same. Different levels of complexity and materials, and I think that's what makes the sign business fun too. It's not the same thing every day.
It is. These are fun to do. And to answer Mary Lauren's question, this is the artwork that we did for Chill Pretty early on. And the other reason why I was willing to do this was because I needed to figure out what the piping was going to look like. She's got black piping for all of her shelves in her unit, and she really wanted her lobby sign to really kind of go with her brand and go with the area. And so we're going to do black piping through the acrylic and then run the wire into the black piping. So this one, the wire is even going to be even more hidden on this one. It's going to be interesting to figure it out, but that also helped me with the pricing as well. So we did it up front, and then I was like, all right, let me figure out where to go get this black piping from and how much am I going to charge for it.
Yeah. Lana?
Ben, I got a question. The translucent vinyl you're talking about, that's the same translucent vinyl we use for the lighted signs, outdoor lighted signs, the pylon signs, right?
Yeah.
That you're laminating with? Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Hey, Lana?
Ben, have a question. So all the samples, all your products are pretty, very amazing, and it's a combination of art and engineering. And my question is, how you decide what to sacrifice, engineering part or the beauty part?
We try not to sacrifice anything on the vision. Nobody cares how anything's made. Everybody cares what it looks like when it's done. And so ultimately, we sell them on the vision, on what the product is, and then we'll figure out how to make it and then make it profitably. So that's the evolution of this product, which should be really kind of the evolution of any product that you sell, is figure out how you're going to make it. And then as you get better at it, that's when you start making more money and start driving towards especially unique projects or unique products towards that market base. Figure out what the market's willing to pay, and the market is each individual customer, so they're going to pay different amounts depending on what their budget is and all the things. So when we have a customer that we really want to work with, sometimes I'll sell it to them a little bit cheaper, bring down the size a little bit. It doesn't mean I'm using any less lighting, any less edge banding. It's not really less time in the shop. It's just we're making good money, not great money. But it's just another kind of another something to put on the website, another thing to show somebody else that we can do it. And then like this piping one, I'm excited about because this one is really it sets apart from all the rest of them. So I like doing something new and inventive every time. We're trying to figure out how we can put a wood frame around it and make it just look like a piece of hanging artwork, and you don't even see any standoffs or anything. So we're working on that one too.
Thank you.
Yeah, very good. Well, congratulations on all your success and sharing today. These lobby signs are terrific, and how you've gone about the pricing and what you get your customers willing to pay. With that, unless there's any other questions, I'll let you all get back to work and make some money. Okay.
Good.
Thank you again, Ben. Take care, and we'll see you all again soon. Okay.
Thanks, Ben.
All right, great to see everybody. Thank you, guys.
Thank you. All right. Bye-bye.